I did is I reached out. I was working for a major healthcare system in California at that time, who had cutting edge innovations with just about everything. So I did reach out, and I was going to outpatient, psychiatry to try to get some help, to get some understanding, because I knew there was lots of stuff that I hadn't reconciled, that I hadn't dealt with over the years. But as I was going to this treatment, it seemed like my ability to cope and to process what was going on with me, it was being outpaced by the mental illness and by the trauma and the post-traumatic stress. It was like I couldn't get my coping to outpace the mental illness. So the mental illness just it kept cascading, evolving, getting worse. And I knew it was getting worse. And I remember one time, because I was then began to go to therapy, like I literally had to go every day, outpatient therapy every day. So I went every day. I remember it was one Friday. And they went around the room every Friday and would ask you, are you okay? Do you think you're going to make it till Monday? And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't going to make it till Monday. And I can remember saying, I don't feel like killing myself, but I feel like I'm sucking up air that somebody else should be using. I feel like I'm breathing and taking up space. It's something like that somebody else should just being wasted on me to breathe this precious air. And I can remember feeling that way. And it kept going. And it ended up, I was admitted into the hospital. And to be honest with you, I cannot tell you, I know I had a mental breakdown, but I can't tell you, basically, when people say I lost my mind, I literally lost my mind. Like there's a blur of things that I just do not remember. And I mean, I can't even tell you, but this is not something we're talking about. Some people try to make it, the stigma around hospitalization. We're not talking about 1 or 2 days. Honey, I was inpatient for a while. When I talk about 2018, I spent the better part of 2018 under mental health care. So there's some months there that I can't even speak to. I can't tell you about because I was just too far gone. They're just gone. And then, but I can remember another part where, and it was real, it was scary. And by the way, I'm diagnosed with major depression disorder and acute anxiety. So I can remember a period, because I don't know if it was because of intellectual or academics or what, but I can remember a period when I was transitioning out of being out of my mind, going back into my right mind. And there was like this period that I literally knew that I was out of my mind. Like I went from being out of my mind and not knowing that I was out of my mind to transitioning to a period where I was out of my mind, but there was another small part of me knew that I was out of my mind. Like I knew that I was not our niece. I knew that I totally was not living up my potential at all. I knew that everything about my anxiety, I mean, I'm jumping. I knew that what I'm saying, I mean, I'm talking real fast. I knew that all these things were happening to me. It was almost like I was looking at it happening to somebody else, but I knew that it was me. But I knew that I was transitioning back into my right mind, but I couldn't come out of it. So, and I sat there a while. I was, as far as a lot of therapy, a lot of work around that, but I could not come out of the depression. Because again, it was major. It didn't matter what, I mean, I did all the things as far as I did the self-care, I did the self-help, I went to all the therapy, but I can remember talking to my psychiatrist and saying, I mean, I would be sobbing, crying because I wanted to come out of it, but I could just not get past it and get out of it. And when a person is experiencing that in and of itself is an additional stress. And that moment, that time period is a real sensitive place for a person to actually regress again or to fall back or to go back. But I can tell you that was horrible. When you talk about a tsunami, when you are coming into your right mind, but you know you ain't in your right mind, that is very frightening. That I had never experienced that, but it made me very sensitive to people with mental illness, and and owning the fact that I struggle with mental health myself. Um, so I can remember crying, and I would say, I just can't get through this, and I truly couldn't get through it. And I sent you a picture early this morning
Yes.
because
Could I share that screen so they can see while you're
sure,
talking
you want me
about
to
it? I
keep
want to
talking
share
while I'm
this.
sharing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I sent a picture in, and I wasn't sure I wanted to share this picture, and I also sent a video, and it was actually a video of me receiving therapy.
Here we go.
So this
can you
is
guys see that? Okay.
I can. So essentially, this is me and my psychiatrist, Dr. Bengali, and that was me celebrating. Oh, I'm so thankful. That was me
Man.
celebrating because I was so far gone that I was receiving ECT therapy. That's when they fit your head with a cap and they measure and they put electrodes, and then they send electrodes to your brain to try to recalibrate your brain to get your brain to snap back into its regular thinking patterns. For those that are not familiar, for those of you that are not familiar with it, so essentially, I was receiving these treatments for every day, every single day. I was getting ECT treatment. If you can imagine shocking your brain every day. And then it got to a point. So this picture that you're looking at, that was me, because I was just excited that I was going down to 3 times a week of getting my brain resuscitated, basically. So then, after this, I continued to improve until I got down to I was 1 time a week. And even now, right now, I'm not getting ECT therapy, but even once I complete the therapy, it has been, I realize that I may at some point have to get ECT therapy again. And I've accepted that. And to this day, I'm on medications to maintain my mental health in my state, and I own that. And one of the reasons that I really want to own that is because so many people stop taking their medications. And just all the different friends that I've established that, struggle with mental health. I know there's so many people do so many things as it relates to their mental health. Some people adapt their medications so that they can accomplish and do a bunch of work at one time. Like people that get manic, they'll adjust their medication to ease up on them so they can get a lot of work done at one time. So I've learned and seen a bunch of things, but I would encourage you, take ownership. It is not a negative or a bad thing to have medication, to have that to help you in order that you can live out your potential and be your best self, to be able to just slow your brain down. Because at the end of the day, again, I'll say it again, most creative geniuses, Kanye West, Robin Williams, Simone Biles, most creative genius, Arnie Stern, I'll say it, Arnie Stern, most creative geniuses,
yes, I love
struggle with mental illness.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Think of it. I would love to change the way we think about mental illness. If we change to think about these are people just on the brink of genius.
Yeah,
why can't we
put
a positive twist? These are people, because that's really what it is. It's people that have beautiful minds, beautiful brains. And if we could put that element to it, to know it's okay to slow it down. Because I would not want anyone, A, to have to live through that transition that I had when I knew I wasn't in my right mind. And B, to have to go and get ECT therapy every day. So, that's where I was with it. And it wasn't easy.
Right.
And I'm thankful, and I thank God, I truly do.
Yes.
I'm just thankful to be here with you today. And
absolutely.
To believe, truly believe that I'm worthy of the air, the breaths that I take.
Yes.
I'm worthy of this air, to breathe this air.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so as far as for me, that's why I like to be clear on it.
Yeah.
Bring it in. See, listen. It does not matter what your social economic, what your academics, we all are coming out of something, about to go into something, or just came out of something. And it's really okay. Take your medications.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you something, Arnice, before I transition to our doctors over here. Now, I want to applaud you for just being open and sharing your story. I can't begin to thank you enough. Come on, doctors, y'all help me give her a hand for just sharing her story on here. That I think that's so powerful. Very, very brave of you to just open up like that. Now, let me ask you this. Thank you for also owning the fact that you're taking the medication and the treatments. Now, let me ask you these questions. Now, aren't you are a child of God, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You do believe in God, right?
I do.
You
Absolutely.
you have been praying about this, haven't you?
Absolutely.
You've been talking to other Christian, you've been getting Christian insight and counsel about this, right? Haven't you?
I have, yes.
My point to all of my viewers who say, I'm just going to give this to God and then I'm going to go on with my life. I want you to see what it looks like, right? You can't just give this to God.
Well, and not
God,
only that, just to tag on to that,
yes,
when we say we're going to give something to God at the end of the day, because I'm not going to say that didn't ever cross my mind, that I didn't ever think like that, because I grew in a faith-based family that,
sure,
that you need to trust God for your healing kind of thing.
sure.
But as I began to meditate and to pray and to journal, the Lord revealed to me that He gave me my psychiatrist and He gave me that therapy and He gave me those medications for a
Absolutely.
reason.
Absolutely. Yes.
So yes, I absolutely have a very deep relationship with the Lord, and yet the Lord gave me enough sense that I know I better take my medicine in the morning.
Right. So, but my point is like God, he's not a magician. That's what I want to get to. He's not up in heaven with this bag and he's just waving it at some point in time. Okay, I'm gonna wait to our niece is 50 and a half and we're gonna get rid of her mental. That's not how it works. We are workers together, right? So in other words, God has done a part. We already know the work of the cross, the blood, that's a finished work. We are partakers of that. But then there are some natural things that we have to do. And now the natural things we all have to do, they may look different, but we want to encourage you. That's why I'm on here. That's why I have the doctors on here. That's why we have the soon to be doctor on here. Real people, real lives that have walked through real situations, right? I don't want to hog it. Go ahead, doctors. I want y'all to jump in on that. I think that's some great stuff, Arnice, that you just shared. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you again, Arnice, for sharing your story. It is very powerful. It is very, much needed. And I'm just happy to know that you knew something wasn't right. And you actually took, the steps to go and, and get the treatment. A lot of
Absolutely.
times I know us as females, not to mention African American females, we are the strong Black female and we're like, we're gonna work it out ourselves, but we know something is not right. And typically that's how mental health issues are. I tell a lot of people because they're like, well, I was feeling, tension. My body was off, couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, didn't have an appetite, and our bodies have cycles. You got an eating cycle, you got a sleep cycle, you got a wake cycle, you have all these cycles. So, when something is not right in your body. Typically, when it does come to mental health, mental illness, and we had one of our podcasts on it, we talked about the physical mental connection,
Yes.
when your body is off. And a lot of times it's that physical stuff, the physical signs that we notice first, the appetite, the sleep, and all of that. So I do tell people definitely, pay attention to that stuff because when your body's off. And that's usually what, is going to kick in first, all the physical stuff. And then it goes, usually to the mental part to where you start, you get the thoughts, you get the negative thoughts. Our niece was saying she was diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. So it's, the negative thoughts, it's the sadness, and not just the general sadness you can talk yourself out of. It's like you were literally in a black hole and you were trying to get out of that. And she was saying how she got the treatment and she's saying, take your meds. And I tell people, you can have Jesus and a therapist, just like we take care of our, physical bodies. It's the same thing with our, brains. We got to take care of our minds. That's how, we think and make decisions and problem solve and how we get through day to day. So I do tell people, definitely go out there and get the treatment if you need it. If you need to take the meds, take the meds. And I have clients that I need them to be stable as far as, being able to pay attention and concentrate before I can even get to therapy. So there are some people I will refer them to a psychiatrist and say, get an evaluation because we need to get you on some meds, whether it's something that's anti-anxiety, antidepressant. A lot of times those are the same meds like Prozac. So it works great for both. But I'm like, we got to get you in a stable place mentally to where I can even, start the therapy. So there are times where, yes, you need the medication, or if it's, depression, to where sometimes people can't, like the meds aren't working, they've adjusted them and, doses and everything else. Yes, you may need that ECT. You may need to, skip it up a notch. We even have new treatments out. We're using ketamine now, which is an anesthetic. So they're saying it works great, for depression. I know some people that are getting it, and where the regular, the regular psychotic medication didn't work, that's working. So whatever treatments you need, definitely go out there and get the treatment. Take the meds. There's nothing wrong. Just like we take medicine for cold, flu, people that got COVID, they came out, with vaccines and everything else. Excuse me, it's the same thing, with our minds. Sometimes
Yes.
we need that medication to get everything, back in order. And don't just stop taking your meds, because you may take your meds and you're feeling great, you're feeling better. Don't just stop cold turkey. Okay. Make sure you're going back to those follow-up appointments and let the doctor wean you off of those meds. And I know there's people that are like, I don't want to be on meds forever. Well, you don't have to be on meds forever. I know there are people that, yes, because of the nature, and the progression of their illness, yes, they're on meds, for a while. They may need them the rest of their life. But if that's what you need, then that's what you need. I also know people, they just took them for a certain period of time. So I do encourage people to definitely go out there, seek the treatment you need, whether it's medication, whether it's therapy, or it's a combination of both. And the resources are definitely out there.
Mm.
I want to say, Dr. Arnice, that it takes a lot of courage to come on here and say that. It takes a
Man.
lot of courage. To me, you telling the testimony. That's a testimony. And I can relate to so much of it. That's why the tears, I just like, when you feel hopeless and you hear
Mm.
somebody else describe the level of hopelessness that you feel only you've experienced, it's like you're not alone.
Mhm.
So I respect the fact you're like, yes, I'm a Christian, but you also know, hey, I'm a Christian, but faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
It says it in the word. So we can have faith and we can talk to God about it, but he's like, I've given you these tools and these resources, but you're not using them. Right. So there's a lot of different things that happen when you experience trauma and you feel like you got to keep moving, especially in the African American community. Being African American women, we feel we cannot stop, because if we stop, our household stops. Right. So we dissociate. We don't even, we just categorize that stuff and keep it moving and try not to acknowledge it. But while we're doing that, our body is keeping the score. Right. There's a book by Dr. Vanderkolk. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. I love that book. I always refer to that book because your body is keeping score of everything that's happened to you. Domestic violence, okay, check. Sexual assault, check. Drug use, check. Addiction, check. Alcoholism, check. Murder, check. Loss, check. It's like all these things keep checking off, right? And our body, it keeps the score of all that, even if we're not mentally aware of what's going on, because we've dissociated so much. There are parts of my life I don't even remember. I can't recall. My family will tell a story and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I feel like you just be creating stuff and telling
Right.
me I did that just so you could throw shade. But it's
Wow.
things that have happened and I don't remember because I dissociated it so much that I blocked it out completely.
Right.
That's
Right.
mental health. And when you're
Yeah.
young and you experience mental health, those kinds of things happen. So at some point, your body is going to keep the score and there's no more checks that can be made. And that's when you have to get the assistance that you need. You have to get it because you can no longer function in any capacity, right? You can't go to work, you can't do anything. And with the medication, I've taken medication. I've stopped taking medication, went back to taking medication, but I can say this, for long-term diagnoses, typically the medications have to change. And I'm saying this for people who are like, I don't want to take medication forever, right? Medications will work, but once you take it for an extended period of time, sometimes you have to go and have your medications adjusted. Sometimes they have to increase it or they have to change the kind of medication you're taking, because just like when you take allergy medicine, right?
Right.
Now, when my daughter takes Zyrtec, one isn't good enough. She has to take two because
Wow.
her body is used to it. So you have to
Mm.
adjust the medications. They don't always stay the same and it doesn't always work the same. But having the support, and I'm gonna always talk about support because when you struggle with mental health, especially and you're a minority, most minorities don't believe in it, but they believe in diabetes. They
Oh
believe in
my
high blood
goodness.
pressure.
Come on,
They
talk.
believe in asthma. They
Come on.
believe in everything else. But what's different with mental health?
Mm.
If you don't have this together, you can't do everything else,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's no different. And I don't
Mm.
want to say we need to normalize it, but it's real. We need to acknowledge and respect the fact that it happens to most people in some way, shape, or form when you experience a type of change or a type of trauma. So again, I'm gonna always tell you thank you for sharing and
Yeah.
because it helps not only us, but it's going to help so many people
Yes.
because we're not the only ones who are survivors of these kinds of things. There are other
Absolutely.
people who feel alone, who don't
Mhm.
realize that there are people who are successfully dealing with things by getting the help they need.
Mm.
And I appreciate that because essentially I feel like you summed up in in your statement, your body is keeping score. Because as
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
about all those things that
Yes, it is.
and the post-traumatic stress and that
Yes.
I just redirected the energy and the thoughts and
Yeah.
essentially you're right. My body was keeping score, and all of a sudden it was a tsunami, as you said, Harry. The
Yeah.
only other thing that and this is back to something Dr. Page said, and you were talking about the signs. The one thing that I wanted to add to that is a lot of times what I think a lot of people don't understand is when you are in that situation, you can't recognize the signs. So I would say, in addition to, yes, each of us need to kind of know when something is different with us. That's
Right.
for self-awareness and knowing that. But I think it's equally important for the community at large, each other, family members, to
Yes.
recognize the signs, to be like, oh, something's not right.
Yes.
Because when the person is in that situation, we don't recognize the signs. It gets to a point when we, like I told you, there was a period of weeks where I literally
Hmm.
was not there. I was gone. Like I didn't even know I was on Earth.
Wow.
Just because of I don't know what was, I don't know if it was the meds, I don't know what, but it was like I remember say April 8th, and it was now June 10th, and I'm still thinking it's April 9th because I didn't know there was a lapse in time when I just was out
Right.
of there.
Right.
So I think it's equally important for other people to be able to help people to see the signs
Yes.
um, of when they're being challenged with mental illness.
And to add to that, if you recognize signs in a family member, don't take offense because initially they're not going to receive what you have to say. I'm telling you from experience. So when you
Yeah.
recognize the signs, be careful about how you say what you say and communicating it, and be prepared to get some backlash from them just because some people are threatened by the thought that they have mental health issues. They see it as an insult or they see it as something bad, right? So just be prepared for that. My
Right.
husband was manic 3 to 4 days a week last year,
Mm-hmm.
every week out of last year. And
Mm-hmm.
Harry knows about this. So I had to
Yeah.
pay attention to signs.
Yeah.
And as family members, you got to have a family member who you can communicate with and who knows the differences and what's going on with you, how the medication impacts you, or if the medication is no
Yeah.
longer effective. Because sometimes it takes somebody else to say, Arnice, I noticed that, this is different. You know what I'm saying? It may be a
Mhm.
spouse, it may be a close relative, but make sure you do have somebody who you're close to who can help you identify that because sometimes
Right.
it could be someone else that helps save a life.
Wow.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, because as I said, I have different friends who in our therapy and in growing together that struggle with different mental illnesses. And I have a dear friend, I love him very much, but when you mentioned the point about having someone that you can, as far as they're going to get defensive, literally now he struggles with schizophrenia.
Mhm.
And because if you can establish a trust with a person that's already been diagnosed, if they can come to you, like he will come and he will ask me, like, Arnice, am I okay? Like, am I? So if you can develop that trust where you can have like an accountability partner that
Yeah.
you know that you struggle with mental illness, but you know if this person loves you enough and you trust them that if they say something is off, that you know you need to go do something different. So
Yes.
I think that that's awesome when you can have it where, you know what, I don't sense that I'm struggling with mental illness, but this person, I trust them and they're telling me.
That's
So
good.
let me connect with that. Let me receive that. Let me do something about that, even though I don't see that I'm going all over the ledge. So I think
Right.
that was great. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
look, that is wonderful, ladies. Man, y'all. Oh, if you're watching this, I'll just say this: this is a setup for something so greater than what we're doing on today. And I wanna cap this part before we get out. We're just reminding us what God's word says. And I'm not on here to, um, if you don't believe in mental health or you just don't, we're not on here shooting shots at you. We're not on here uh, putting you down, but I would urge you just to consider some different information. And the information that we've shared today in God's word that I'm talking about is in 3rd John chapter 1, verses number 2. It says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper. Watch this, and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. Now, watch this. We are tri-type being. What does that mean? We live in a physical body. We have to have a physical body to be in this earth. Without this body, we cannot be in the earth. So we have a body, we have a spirit. That's the part of us that's like God, right? And then the third part of us, we possess a soul. And a lot of times you hear people talk about soul and say, well, I thought your soul was your spirit. Your spirit is your soul. Let me tell you what your soul is. Your soul is your will, your mind, and your intellect. So let me read it this way. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper, be in health, even as thy will, thy soul, the soul, your will, your mind, your intellect, your thoughts prosper. Read it that way. It, that's what he's talking about. So if God, the creator, remember I told you, if you want to know the function of a thing, if you want to know the why of a thing, you got to go back to the manufacturer. As believers, this is our manuscript right here. He just told us above all things. So it never be upset with God. God said, I want your um, best mental state. And trust me, if you go back to episode 1, we walk through the scriptures and show you when there was a time where there was no mental health on the planet. There was none. And we show you how mindful God is of you. I want to tell it so bad, but it's not fair. You got to go back and watch part 1. We show the physical body, right? And we compare. Well, anyway, go back to episode 1. Anyway, listen, our time is getting away from here. New Balance Podcast. New Balance Podcast. Put your hands together for the doctor, Dr. Stacy Page, our special guest, Arnice Stern, and our anchor, Naila Harrison. Come on, show these ladies some love. This has been so incredible. And oh man, I want to keep y'all for another hour, but unfortunately, I can't. I cannot because
You
I have
sure
so
can,
many.
because I gotta go eat my denim.
Look, they ready to go eat. I'm with the real crew. Come on. Because y'all know, I know our niece know this, back home, we would have to be going to our third church service on Sunday.
I
So you have to
understand that
get your
too,
snack
right?
in before that last service on Sunday. Back in the day, all day was the Lord's day. You was in church all
Yep.
day. So no, we definitely understand. Ladies, I am so grateful, eternally grateful for your labor of love that you will partner with me with this vision. All three of you are very passionate about what you do in life. And I'm just as passionate about bringing um, partners together of like precious faith that we can go into the world and share our testimony, share our story, and be an encouragement to whomever needs the help. That's what this is about. It's about the betterment of people and helping people move forward. And so this mental health, man, the way I'm feeling, man, we may try to go a couple of more months with it. That's just how I feel. As I opened up saying, you don't have to look very far. The pressure Y'all know what the last 2 years, what it's done to us, right? And we're talking about our health, but let's not even talk about all of the other things that affect that. So this conversation is like so near and dear. And I shared, I don't know if I shared it on the podcast. I know I told the two ladies privately, but if I didn't share it, I'm sharing it now. Like I'm in the process of starting some new therapy sessions because there are some other things in my life that I need to get worked out. There's some things I need to just, it can be better, right? So first I owe it to myself. And I want you to take it. It's not being selfish. I need to be a better me. And unfortunately, I said, hey, I want to have a family. I asked a young lady to marry me. She's been with me going on 26 years. I owe it to her. I owe it to my children. Now watch this. Ooh, help me with this one. I owe it to my grandchildren and great grandchildren.
Amen.
Amen.
God said, a good man, he leaves an inheritance to his children's
Absolutely.
children. A lot of times we just keep that with money and finances, right? And we should do that. We should set them up, get them some land, some investments, some properties, put a trust in place. But we also need to pass down a legacy of mental health, clean mental health, right? And I'm big on slaying the giants of my generation. My son's generation shouldn't have to fight my generations. David showed up because the army was scared to fight Goliath. I'm gonna leave it, boy. Y'all see where it's gonna go.
You
I'm
better,
not. No, I'm
better
not.
not
No,
start
I'm not.
preaching
No, I'm
now.
not. No, I'm
I'm
not.
gonna
No,
take
I'm
out my
not.
notepad. I'm ready.
No, we're not. But anyway, I'm just really passionate about it. All of my guests are. And to our audience, let me say this. Man, I love you from the bottom. I do. And I want to keep hearing from you. Trust me, when you reach out to me, everything is confidential. These ladies will tell you I've never shared anything that anybody's ever text me, email me, or DM me. Trust me, it's between me, you, and the Lord. But because of the things, right? I'm a praying man. I believe in prayer. And I feel the pull of the world. I feel the pull of our community. So I know what we're doing is right, right? And so one more time, give it up for our guests, Dr. Page, Arnise Stern, and Nyla Harris. Man, we love you guys so much. And before we get out, I always allow the guests, could y'all give us some closing words? There's something you want to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, to be on a panel with this dynamic, phenomenal group. I appreciate it. And thank you for the opportunity, more importantly, to allow my life to be a living sacrifice. I hope that my sharing was a blessing. And to those of you listening, I just trust that the Lord will encourage your heart, encourage your spirit, and encourage your mind. So until we meet, greet, or speak, you better be encouraged.
I know that's right. I love it. Dr. Page, Dr. Nyla.
So just want to thank you again for having me on. Of course, mental health is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. So I'm always glad when I do have the opportunity just to share and just impart the wisdom that God has given me. So I know that you are making a great impact, and you will actually see the fruits of your labor. So thank you for the opportunity.
Oh man, thank you, sis. I appreciate that.
For me, it's just an honor to be on this platform, to be able to be on here with Harry, and the honor of meeting you too, Miss Dr. Arnise, and to be on here with Dr. Stacy. It humbles me every time. And I took a lot from it. I feel like you were sharing your testimony with me personally. And it touched me personally because of our stories are similar. We all of us share things, but it's an honor. And I thank God for allowing me to be able to be on this platform and connecting us all, because I do believe that we'll be able to help a lot of people. And that's what it's about, educating people and teaching them better ways to cope and manage the different challenges they have in life. So thank you.
Incredible, incredible. Listen, you heard it from these phenomenal women of God. And man, like I said, we want to spend some more time with you, but we got to go. But you know the catch, you know the phrase, it's strength for today, sustenance for tomorrow. It's your boy, your potential conditioner, H2O. We'll see you when we see you. We love you. Peace.